Common Council meeting of December 21st, 2021 to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Here.
Lorick.
Here.
Alderman Dukniak is excused. Alderman Toman.
Here.
Gale.
Here.
Guzikowski.
Here. And would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I would kindly ask Chief Anderson to start us off, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now will bring us to the approval of the minutes of December 7th, 2021. If you would all please take a look. And if there's no discussions, errors, or omissions, we'll entertain a motion. Clerk moves to approve the minutes of 12/7/2021. We have a second.
Almost second.
Toman seconds. Roll call, please.
Alderman Lorick.
Aye.
Toman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzikowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Abstains.
Okay. Item 4, 5, and 6 may be the most important part of our whole meeting tonight. We're going to recognize some people, and we're starting with item 4, and that's consideration of a resolution of commendation to Michael C. Simmons, our retiring city engineer. So, Catherine, if you'd please read that into record.
Certainly. Resolution number 12287, 122121, resolution of commendation to Michael C. Simmons. Whereas Michael C. Simmons began his employment with the City of Oak Creek on March 30th, 1998 as a civil engineer and was promoted to construction engineer on March 25th, 2001. And whereas on January 2nd, 2010, Michael Simmons was appointed to the position of acting city engineer, overseeing both the engineering and inspection departments. And whereas on July 6, 2011, Michael Simmons was appointed to the position of city engineer. And whereas Michael Simmons has also served as the city's building commissioner and was an ex officio member of the Board of Public Works and Capital Assets and the Plan Commission. And whereas Michael Simmons participated in countless regular and special common council meetings involving significant City of Oak Creek decisions requiring engineering input related to stormwater management, traffic impacts, and environmental and infrastructure concerns. And whereas Michael Simmons has been a valuable employee during his years of dedicated service with the City of Oak Creek, always striving to enhance the quality of life within the Oak Creek community. Whereas on January 21st, 2022, Michael Simmons is retiring from his position as city engineer after serving 23 years, 10 months with the City of Oak Creek, allowing him more time to enjoy attending Milwaukee Brewers games and various outdoor festivals year-round, vacation, and spend time with his wife, children, grandchildren, and his many friends. And whereas Michael Simmons will be missed for his sense of humor and ability to make coworkers, contractors, and Oak Creek residents alike smile and brighten their day. And whereas Michael Simmons has expressed his sincere appreciation for the opportunities and great support he has received from staff and elected officials these many years. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Common Council of the City of Oak Creek that for and on behalf of the citizens of Oak Creek, sincere gratitude and appreciation be extended to Michael C. Simmons for his 23 years, 10 months of dedicated service to the City of Oak Creek, and that best wishes for good health and happiness be extended to Michael C. Simmons and his family in his retirement years. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and the city clerk be and is hereby directed to transmit a suitable copy thereof to Michael C. Simmons, passed and adopted this 21st day of December, 2021.
Thank you, Catherine. Before we have Mike say a few words, I'm going to ask the councilman, any words for Mike? Steve, please.
I want to thank Mike for the way that he just would stop what he was doing when I walked in unannounced with a question or whatever, and it just never failed that if I asked him something, within a day or so, I got an answer or I got a copy of something or whatever. And it was, you run across people who want to do business with Oak Creek and they don't know where to start. And I would tell them to call the city engineer, Mike Simmons, and because I know they would get good service. And when you talk to people who have dealt with his department, that whole wing of City Hall, they say it's really good to do business with Oak Creek because that's kind of where you start over there. And I just want to thank him for everything he's done for the city, because we have a lot of things in the city, and a lot of it has to do with those that work under Mike over there. I mean, so, and he's the lead, he was the leader over there. So a good leader has a good team, and that's what he had. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Steve. Ken?
Sure. Mike, just want to say, we appreciate your dedication. We pushed her very hard for the past 10 years. You guys have performed it. And I appreciate your approach to have good.
Mike?
I'm going to group all three of these retirements just to expedite the meeting a little bit, because I feel like I'm going to say the same thing about each individual. You're all leaders. You're department heads, so that makes you an obvious leader. And I've gotten great service from you guys. When if I don't get you immediately on the phone, I have a problem. You guys are all go-to guys. You get back to me probably within the same day or same hour, and the service level I've gotten out of you guys is tremendous. And without your expertise in your departments, I don't think anybody would even want this alderman's job, because you're the go-to guys, like the third and long in football. You go to your best players, and you go to your department heads. And I want to thank you for your service to the city, and happy and healthy retirement.
Chris, anything?
I was just going to say to everybody, as a young alderman coming in, thank you for taking me in and answering all the questions I had when I would come and ask them and point me in the right direction when the questions come up from constituents as well. So thanks for everything you've done. And also, Mike, I know I'll see you continued at giving blood, because I know either blood or plasma, or I hope that's not a HIPAA thing.
Greg, anything?
I'll just kind of echo what everybody else has been saying. I'm the newest member on the council, so you all have been here much longer than I have. So I appreciate the quick responses to many questions that I did not know the answers to, that I reached out to get assistance. So thank you.
Andrew?
Mike, I think you probably feel someday. So I really appreciate and respect the work that you guys in your department, really the whole city, for the last decade plus, really pushed through. Ken mentioned a lot of big stuff, and not a lot of communities were out there doing that. And I don't know if you thought it was going to let up when I got here, but it didn't. But selfishly, we always understood each other from day one. And there's a few people where we can get lost in a conversation about anything other than engineering, but it's all city stuff, right, Mike? For the most part, for an hour and a half, and we've talked about everything from city business outside of your department, every other department, and then maybe some non-city related business. But I always appreciated, and I think you heard from the council, you were prepared to run through brick walls for people. So I'm going to miss that.
Okay. Max, anything you'd like to add? No? I'm just going to say a couple short words, and I'm going to have you get up. It's part of the deal. That's it. Mike, all the stuff's been said, and the admiration's here for you. Everybody knows what you've done within this city. And as Andrew said, the last 10 to 12 years has really been a boatload of work. And as I get around the city through the ICC and other places, the accolades come from outside the city, from developers, from other city administrators, from other mayors, on the professionalism that you exude and your staff does. And you've prepared them well. You put us in the position to succeed. And without your last 23 years of service, Oak Creek would not be where it's at. Your fingerprints are quite all over this city, and you should be very proud, as your family is. So on behalf of myself, the residents of Oak Creek, and the Common Council, we wish you a long, happy retirement. And I hope you're not a stranger, and that I'm able to maybe purchase you a malted beverage at our beer garden this summer. So But it is time for you to get up and say a few words, and I know you're a short talker, but go for it.
Well, thank you all very, very much for the kind words in the resolution and by everybody on the council and Andrew. I mean, it's just, that was great. So I did prepare something, and I did this because as my time has been winding down and I've been attending my last meetings, my last SLT, Andrew has tried to wrap up those meetings by inviting me to do a speech, and I politely declined because I didn't know if he was sincere or if he was trying to put me on the spot. Well, maybe a little both. So I did jot down some words here. So I'd like to express my appreciation for the opportunity to work for Oak Creek for these past many years. The council and the staff have been incredibly supportive and really a pleasure to work with. And I'm going to miss that. Been an extraordinary amount of growth here in the city over these years, and I always feel proud of the various roles, large and small, that the engineering department has played in that. So with that, thanks again, and I wish you all well. Thank you.
Before you sit down, Mike, I'd like to invite you up here. We have something for you, and we'd like to present it.
Okay.
And we do it by the city seal. Where you want to do this? Please, I don't see Leslie, so if we could maybe get it, passed on to Leslie for the archives. Come on, I'm coming around. Yeah. It's a normal. Thank you. And oh, you're done.
Who has to stay there?
I think he's got business.
Can't leave yet. You gotta stay.
He has work to do. So that will get us to a motion on 4, if you would, please.
You'll move to approve resolution 12287-1222121, a resolution of commendation to Michael C. Simmons, retiring city engineer.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Toman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Item 5 is consideration of a resolution of commendation to Ted Johnson, our retiring Department of Public Works Director. So Catherine, if you'd please read Ted's into record.
Certainly. Resolution 12288-1222121, resolution of commendation to Ted Johnson. Whereas Ted Johnson began his employment with the city of Oak Creek on June 9th, 2014 as a director of streets, parks, and forestry. And whereas on January 1st, 2020, Ted Johnson was named the Department of Public Works Director after a department restructuring occurred. And whereas Ted Johnson served as the city's weed commissioner and was a member of the Emergency Management Advisory Committee until the time of his retirement. And whereas Ted Johnson has been a valuable employee during his years of dedicated service with the city of Oak Creek, always striving to enhance the quality of life within the Oak Creek community. Whereas Ted Johnson is retiring from his position as Department of Public Works Director after serving 7 years, 6 months with the city of Oak Creek, effective January 14th, 2022, allowing him more time to ride his Harley-Davidson snowmobile up north and to spend time with his family and friends. And whereas Ted Johnson will be missed by his coworkers for his endless stories of the days at college, and now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and common council of the city of Oak Creek that for and on behalf of the citizens of Oak Creek, sincere gratitude and appreciation be extended to Ted Johnson for his 7 years of dedicated service to the city of Oak Creek, and that best wishes for good health and happiness be extended to Ted Johnson and his family in his retirement years. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and the city clerk be and is hereby directed to transmit a suitable copy thereof to Ted Johnson. Passed and adopted this 21st day of December, 2021.
Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome.
And once again, Ted is not with us tonight. I'm sure he's watching via Zoom. But we will open it up to council. A few words for Ted. Ken?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, for Ted's sake, he assumed his role in the post-Act 10 world, which obviously was significantly impactful to the group down at the DPW and the folks that he worked with there, in his leadership and skill in terms of maneuvering and navigating that environment was very useful. Obviously, a lot of evolution and development and structure change in that particular department over the past few years has obviously been seen a steady hand on his part, and we really, truly appreciate his contribution to that effort. And obviously, we wish him well in his retirement.
Thank you, Ken. Anyone else? It's not a few words for Ted. Ken kind of summed it up. Ted was with us just a little short of 8 years, but those 8 years, city was changing rapidly, and Ted was there to keep a handle on it, from snowstorms to garbage contracts to transitioning dump during the COVID times. The tipping fees went up. There were just a number of obstacles he had to maneuver, and he did it with style and grace. The one thing about Ted is he was really responsive. If you reached out to Ted, he got back to you. Not to mention, he kept service on time with city equipment. He had the blending of the parks with him. So hats off to Ted. And once again, wish him a long, happy retirement on behalf of myself, the residents of Oak Creek, and the entire Common Council. Ted, we best wishes for you in your retirement. So if we could, motion on 5, please.
Bill move to approve resolution 12288-1222121, a resolution of commendation to Ted Johnson, retiring Department of Public Works Director.
Guzekowski, second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Toman.
Aye.
And item 6 is consideration of a resolution of appreciation to Stephen J. Anderson, retiring police chief. Anderson. Catherine, if you do the honors, please.
Certainly. Resolution number 12289-122121. Resolution of appreciation to Stephen J. Anderson. Whereas Stephen J. Anderson began his employment with the city of Oak Creek on July 22nd, 1991 as a full-time police officer. And whereas during his 30 years and 5 months of service, Stephen J. Anderson has been an integral part of the police department, serving as a patrol officer early in his career, then rising through the ranks as an acting sergeant, detective, sergeant, lieutenant, captain of administration, acting chief, and finishing his career as the chief of the police department. And whereas Stephen J. Anderson has been a valuable employee during his years of dedicated service with the Oak Creek Police Department, always striving to enhance the quality of life for the citizens of the city, and has been a model for all under his command, being well known for his work ethic, his dedication to the department, and his leadership. And whereas Stephen J. Anderson received 15 combined departmental acknowledgements and awards. Most notably are the meritorious arrest for the safe apprehension of a suicidal subject armed with a butcher knife, Award of Excellence for his leadership during the active shooter incident at the Sikh Temple in August of 2012, and the Career Achievement Award. And whereas Stephen J. Anderson served with honor, passion, and dedication on several subunits of the Oak Creek Police Department: Field Training Officer, Arson Investigation, Evidence Technician, Awards Committee Unit, and the Homeland Security Unit, where Stephen J. Anderson was an instrumental part of training law enforcement's response to explosive incidents, as well as response to terrorist events. Through Stephen J. Anderson's leadership and dedication, the Oak Creek Police Department is more capable and ready to serve the citizens of Oak Creek. And whereas from 1996 until 2001, and again from 2005 until 2010, Stephen J. Anderson served as a member of the Oak Creek Police Department Emergency Response Unit. During that time, Stephen J. Anderson served as an assistant team leader and a team leader, as well as receiving the Team Player Award in 2007 and achieving the rank of Master Operator. And whereas Stephen J. Anderson was the property room officer and supervisor for over 20 years for the Oak Creek Police Department, maintaining, developing, and creating the current process to ensure evidence is properly maintained and tracked. This is critical of a high liability area such as property and evidence. And whereas during Stephen J. Anderson's career with the Oak Creek Police Department, he attended and graduated from the School of Police Staff and Command through Northwestern University in 2004, attended and graduated from Marian University with a master's in criminal justice administration in 2011, and attended and graduated from the FBI's Law Enforcement Executive Development Seminar in 2017. Stephen J. Anderson has also attended many other law enforcement certificates, utilizing the knowledge and training he received throughout his career, and willingly shared it with all members of the Oak Creek Police Department. Whereas Stephen J. Anderson was the recipient for Melvin A. Jones Award for his humanitarian work and volunteer service to the citizens of Oak Creek from the Oak Creek Lions in 2019. Whereas Stephen J. Anderson is retiring from the Oak Creek Police Department after completing 30 years and 5 months of full-time service for the city of Oak Creek. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Common Council of the City of Oak Creek, for and on behalf of the citizens of the City of Oak Creek, that sincere gratitude and appreciation be extended to Stephen J. Anderson for his years of professional, dedicated, and faithful service to the City of Oak Creek and the Police Department. And the best wishes for good health and happiness be extended to Stephen J. Anderson and his family for future years. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and that the city clerk is hereby directed to transmit a suitable copy thereof to Stephen J. Anderson, passed and adopted this 21st day of December, 2021.
Thank you, Catherine. And once again, I will go to council first. Anyone? Steve?
Well, first thing I noticed is the font had to be changed because this is quite an impressive resolution. Chief, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done. You've responded to my calls, my questions and stuff like that. You know, it's no secret that I have a special spot in my heart for law enforcement because of my career. And I just tell you, just being a police officer and being a chief is just a horrendously tasking and difficult job these days. And when you have somebody like Chief Anderson on the job, you really got to appreciate everything he gives to the city. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Steve? Greg?
I mean, I'll echo what Alderman Kirkowski said. I mean, it's an impressive resolution. Obviously a long career and a lot of impressive things in there. And thank you for always being quick to respond to my questions or emails that I send over looking for some information. So thank you.
Just to reiterate what I said before, Steve, all the accolades I threw out there apply to you. And thank you for your service and happy and healthy retirement.
And thanks, Mayor. Chief, we just want to say I appreciate all your efforts. The continuity and consistency you brought to the job on behalf of the city was highly appreciated. Wish you and your wife and your family a great and enjoyable retirement.
Yes.
You know, everything that you brought to the job, you left at the job. Every day you brought your heart and your soul. And in addition to that, it's part of your family, like the police department is, your own personal family. So thank you for treating our family as your family, and have the best of retirement.
Andrew?
We city administrator types actually have workshops at our seminars about how to get along better with our police chiefs, and something to the effect of, how can we convince these men and women that we're not trying to meddle in their police business, but we just want to be kept in the loop? And I just have a hunch that the police chiefs have a similar conference workshop where they're trying to figure out how they can tell their administrators not to meddle in their business, and just we'll keep them in the loop as they need. And that's kind of the relationship between folks in my position oftentimes and the police chiefs in their communities. And it's really just communication. And Chief was appointed to the chief position, I think, a month before I came on board. And I thought, wow, we're in a honeymoon right now. He really keeps me in the loop. I really appreciate that. And a lot of my colleagues don't have that. And over the course of time, I realized it wasn't a honeymoon. It was just the way that Steve wanted to go about his business, and be communicative and expressing the priorities and concerns. So I really appreciate that about you, Steve. And, I think that this chapter in the Oak Creek Police Department will go down as exceptionally well run and led because of you.
Next, anything? Melissa, would you like to say a word?
Kind of unexpected, Chief, but what an opportunity. I'll keep it short. I think that what I would just add to the mix is, first and foremost, I think that it is very much a team effort with Chief Anderson. You're the third police chief that I've worked with here in my 15 years. And in that time, I think that your department and the leadership that you've brought along with your predecessors has just been bar none. And I think that that's just exemplified by all the employees. It's transcendent to other departments. And with your appointment and working together these past several years, I think that you've done a fantastic job, and I've been really proud to be a part of that. So I'm very excited for you, your family, and wish you many, many happy years of relaxing. Thanks.
Okay. A few short words before I ask you up, Steve. Very quickly, they say great leaders are made, they're not born. You look at what you went through. You were homegrown here in Oak Creek as a patrol officer, worked your way up, probably did every job at the PD, probably including mopping floors and washing dishes at some times by the looks of it. But you earned everything that you got. And that's important. And you never forgot what it was like to be a patrol officer, a sergeant, a detective, and you treated people that way. You communicated well with me. I put a lot of trust into my leaders here. And I trust them because of their character. And there was never any doubt that I couldn't come to you with any question, any problem we had, anything we thought was coming down the line. You've just set us up for success. I said it about Mike. History will look upon you very, very honorably here in Oak Creek because you did just a fantastic job for us. I'm very proud to have served with you during this time in the city. And again, I wish you a long, happy retirement. So if you would, come on up. We're going to put you on the spot and have you say a few words. And by the way, that leadership stuff, it ain't all rainbows and butterflies all the time either.
No, it's not. Thank you very much for the kind words. I wasn't expecting to say anything tonight, and I will say, Mike and my banter back and forth, you got to go in front of me tonight. So there you go. It's been an honor to serve the citizens of Oak Creek for 30 years. Everybody says at this point, you don't realize how fast it goes by, but there's things as we go through our career that we remember from our first week and our 5th year, and they seem like yesterday. There's things I can't remember from yesterday, but some of those other things just stick out. Chris, you brought up family, and it's not just our personal families, but the police department is a very tight part of my family, but so is the rest of the city employees, the other first responders. You guys, family doesn't always get along. Sometimes we don't agree on everything. Everybody knows if I don't agree with something, I probably will let you know as a part of it, but then we work through it and we move on. And that's what family can do. That work, we've stressed family as part of our organization and we keep pushing forward. I have no doubt in my mind that the future of this department is in excellent hands with future Chief Stecker and the rest of the command staff and the men and women that work there every day. They're the officers and the dispatchers and the frontline people. They're the bread and butter of that organization. They make the rest of our jobs look well. So it's been an honor to serve with them and to work with all of you. Thank you very much.
Before you go back, we do have something for you, if you wouldn't mind coming up.
That resolution, so you might need a drink of water.
Yeah, I got it.
So if we could get a motion then on item 6 for Chief Anderson.
Yeah, we'll move to approve resolution 12289-122-121, a resolution of appreciation of Stephen J. Anderson, retiring police chief.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
And once again, congratulations to you all and long and happy retirements to all. Item 7 is old business, and it's consideration of an ordinance repealing and recreating section 2.06 of the municipal code to change the boundaries of the automatic districts for the city of Oak Creek. Catherine, I'm going to have you go on this one, I guess, a little bit. Sorry about that. I know it's unexpected, but.
No, not at all. Good evening, Alderman and Mayor. This is a item that we had held so that we could do a proper publishing of our newly adopted boundaries for the city of Oak Creek for our automatic districts. So previously, we have already approved the wards going from 1 to 19 to 18 wards, and we remain with 6 districts with new boundaries. So I think this information you've seen before. Nothing has changed since the previous Common Council meeting in November. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Any questions, comments? Greg?
I just have one question about the, I guess, the date, if this passes and is adopted. At what point does it take effect? I guess when can we expect calls from residents in our new area? And for those that might be seeking re-election in the coming election, can signatures be gathered from the new areas, or will this take place after that?
Great question. So for the timeline, the when wards were adopted, those wards were entered into our statewide mapping system, for lack of better terms, just to simplify. So those wards went forward. As we're now over 35,000, we now report and vote by wards rather than districts. So anyone who would be seeking an election candidate or a local position in the spring election would have to run in the newly created wards. This ordinance lumps those wards into automatic districts. So as of December 1st, if someone were to walk in, if they walked in and wanted to run, they would have to reside in one of those wards, which would tell, now we're saying which districts they are. So the residents will be notified. We're already putting it in our current and our Acorn publications. We are in the process of uploading all of the new addresses into our website. So the search feature on the website, when you type in an address, will tell you who your elected official is, what ward you reside in, what district, and that'll take some time. In January, the clerk's office is mailing a postcard to every household. So one per household in the municipality. So it's over, I think it's 12,500 postcards. And that will advise the voter their new ward member, their voting location, and their district. And we're asking them to bring the card with them to go vote so that we can easily identify them when they come in the door, make sure they're in the right location. So they're already in effect for the wards. It's just a matter of the districts being created, combining the wards into a district with this ordinance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I'm not going to be obstructionist tonight on this particular item, because I think we had a fairly robust debate on the process we had in the last meeting where the ward boundaries were adopted, but this process was not particularly, I think, useful to the aldermanic cause in the city, and I don't believe served us overly well. The way it was beholden to the county chaos as we were. It really did a disservice, I think, to some of the aldermen and aldermanic districts in the community, and I want to make sure that process is really fleshed out a little harder and addressed a little harder the next time around. I know it's going to be a decade, and I likely will not be in the same seat. So, but just for future sake, this process was not as smooth and useful to the residents of the community as it should have been. So that's all I have.
Oh, thank you, Alderman, and I appreciate your comment. We definitely received our census results at least 6 months later than in the previous 2010 census. So with those numbers being delivered to the county, to the state, to the municipalities, 6 months past when we typically would receive it, The county certainly had some delays in their process in which, we were all rushed to try to react to the county's new supervisory districts. For our purposes, our goal was to keep equal population and one person, one vote for fairness within the municipality. We were able to achieve fair districts and fair wards by population, but I certainly understand that there was geographical changes to the districts and wards due to population growth. So your comment is noted.
Thank you. And before we vote, this was an arduous process, and I do want to thank Catherine and GIS as well. Difficult task doing this, sorting through this and trying to get these boundaries to have some symmetry and balance. So a lot of hard work went into it, but I do trust that our clerk followed the process and the letter of the law that's established not only by the county, but the state. So with that, we'll ask for a motion, please, on 7.
Moves to adopt ordinance number 3021, an ordinance repealing and recreating section 2.06 of the municipal code to change the boundaries of the aldermanic districts for the city of Oak Creek.
Kirkowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
And item 8 is consideration of an ordinance conforming the adoption of the settlement agreement between the city of Oak Creek and Labor Associates of Wisconsin, Inc., or law, as they're known, and fixing the salary for members of the association for the year 2022. Max, you got her?
Thank you, Mayor. Max Kagan, Assistant City Administrator Comptroller. Before you tonight is ordinance number 3026 to adopt the settlement agreement between the City of Oak Creek and the Labor Association of Wisconsin, Inc. So the Labor Association of Wisconsin was set up after Act 10 was adopted in 2011, and they allow for a 1-year labor contract, only allowed to bargain for wages up to the state-determined consumer price index. And that consumer price index for contracts beginning the 1st of 2022 is 2.3%. As part of our negotiations on December 8th, we offered them a base bill adjustment of 2.0%, beginning on the 1st of the year. That's similar to the non-represented employees as well as our police and fire unions. We also did offer a 0.3% one-time bonus payment, more so as recognition that this group has received lower base building adjusted wages the past few years as CPI has trended less than what we had for settled union contracts. So I wanted to certainly recognize that with that group. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions the Common Council may have.
Questions for Max? Okay, seeing none, motion.
Bill moved to approve ordinance 3026, confirming adoption of the settlement agreement between the City of Oak Creek and Labor Association of Wisconsin, Inc., and fixing the salary for members of the association for the year 2022.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
And item 9 is consideration of a resolution approving the purchase of 8850 South Fifth Avenue for the purpose of blight elimination. Who's got that one? Andrew? Oh, Melissa.
Thank you. So, just as indicated in the council report, Mayor and Alderman, this is consistent with our purchase agreement for the property of 8850 South Fifth Avenue in the Fourth District. This came before you in a similar fashion when we purchased the
adjacent property many years ago. What we're seeking is a particular exemption as part of this purchase. We are submitting an application for a local governmental unit liability exemption. There's a clarification that we are obtaining from the Department of Natural Resources. Essentially, there's a provision in Wisconsin state law whereby the city can be exempted from certain investigation and environmental cleanup responsibilities because we are purchasing this property given its blighted condition. So to that extent, what's before you in this resolution is a perfunctory piece, but it's a really important piece, and it's consistent with what we've done before. So this is a formal way of accompanying our clarification that is being submitted to the DNR. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from Melissa on purchase?
Melissa, is this just a formality, basically? Because, I mean, the chances of it not being granted are like 0 to none, or
to answer that at a public meeting, absolutely, Alderman Toman, yes.
Okay.
And I say that somewhat tongue in cheek, but I think that to your point, and Mike, you've been at the helm for so long and this is your district, but all of the preamble in this resolution is just that. We have said that this property is blighted. We've done it with our lakefront development plan in 2012. We did it again when we had the resolution adopting that plan. We did it further when we came before the council for a similar resolution for the adjacent 30 acres. We're doing it again here for these 46 acres. So to your point, it's essentially belt and suspenders with the passage of time. And because of the particularity and the way that the parcels were configured, we want that to specifically attach to this piece of property as well. So yes, in a long answer.
There's no other monetary compensation other than the savings that we save on the investigation level, and
correct.
There's no other monetary advantage coming back if this goes through.
No, we want to have that clarification though before we purchase, and that was one of the pieces in our agreement, as you know. Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, motion on 9, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 12291, approving the purchase of 8850 South Fifth Avenue for the purpose of blight elimination.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Toman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye. And item 10 is informational. It is discussion and feedback on the city's next resident priority survey. Max, you taking this one, or Andrew, you leading? Max?
I'll take it. So Max Gagan, Assistant City Administrator, Comptroller. So before you tonight is the next iteration of our resident priority survey. Before we delve into that, just wanted to provide a little bit of history for the Common Council. So back in 2011, the city retained the services of Cobalt Community Research, a nonprofit group who does surveying for municipalities across the country, to conduct our first resident priority survey. Really, the purpose at that time was to gauge the public opinion on a variety of topics, including city services and priorities. This is a statistically significant survey, being that we have a random sample of voters that are chosen. So in 2011, it was 1,500. And from that, you can make inferences to the larger population being the community at large. And then again, in 2016, we moved forward with this effort, similar sample size as well. But now that we established the benchmark in 2011, we were able to compare, how things have progressed in those 5 years since then. But, one of the other important items of the 2016 survey is it included many priorities or things that the city needs to address in the coming strategic action plan. So as that strategic action plan was being developed, this survey tool was very helpful for identifying priorities for the Common Council's consideration. Certainly, if you want some more information on past surveys, I do have the link on there. The easier way may be just go to the Oak Creek website. In the search bar, type of resident survey. It's the first link that pops up. So again, the purpose, first and foremost, to gauge the public opinion on a variety of topics, including city services and priorities. But the results also aid city leadership in budgeting and strategic planning decisions. So we plan to utilize the results of this next survey to inform us for that 2023 through 2025 strategic action plan. And then lastly, benchmark our city performance against results of the city in 2016 and 2011, as well as compared to statewide, regional, and national data. So for our 2022 survey, we did increase our sample size by 250 voters. And this does account for population increase as well as it may decrease the margin of error that we'll see with our results. We anticipate those surveys will be mailed in, so it's mid-June, I meant mid-January, results expected in May. And then as you look through the survey document, there are items that aren't highlighted in green. Those are items that are the same as the past survey. And it's really important that some of those larger items asking about city services and your satisfaction remain the same so that we can really benchmark against past iterations and see where things improved, where maybe haven't they improved, so we can make strategic decisions moving forward. And then the items highlighted in green, those are changes or additions from the 2016 survey. You'll see there's some minor changes here and there throughout, but really what I wanted to focus on tonight is really to look at 3 questions, and then after that, and we get the feedback there, really open it up to the larger common council, ask for feedback on the rest of the questions. From there, really wanted to target those discussions on questions 31, 32, and 33. So I'll show those up on your screen so you have them. First question being 31. So this relates back to our 2022 budget development process. Police department submitted a personnel request that included 15 police officers, potential to staff that over a 5-year period. As we had our budget workshop, we talked about, how can we try and gauge some public opinion on this? Is it worthwhile or not? Are people going to be supportive of potential increase in property taxes to hire those officers, just given some of the budgetary challenges we have with net new construction. So as you see on the screen, how the question is worded, we kind of broke it up into 2 chunks, talked about, the consideration of this body for hiring 3 new officers over a 5-year, per year over a 5-year period. I wanted to break that down to show what is that increase in property taxes for that median assessed home in this community. Median assessed home being $278,000. The $32 is the increase in property taxes for 3 officers, and then wanted to show it as a larger package, and didn't want to just say 15 and this is what it is, because as you'll see going down through the responses, there may be some people who would support the plan in its entirety. There may be some folks who would support it, an alternative option, maybe that's less costly. So really wanted to be able to gauge that feedback with the people who are receiving and filling out these surveys.
Went through we probably went through 10 iterations of this question. We had a smaller group looking at it, and we went back and forth with the consultant, namely Max. I think this is was the cleanest among them in terms of how to ask it. I would just caution the council, and again, remind you that, by no means is this a mandate. There's continued discussion among you with the staff, with the department, further financial analysis that needs to go into this. But this was the result, as Max had stated, of the budget workshop, putting a hold on a major decision given the staffing plan that was put forward by the department. So again, I think this was one of the cleaner ways. We had again, as Max had put, we had a large number that probably would have just skewed the sentiment. We had a smaller number, which was, probably would uncomfortably skew the sentiment, because, they wouldn't know that they would have to multiply 100,000 times maybe 3.5 if their home were $350,000 of value, et cetera. So really we've struck the middle ground with the average assessed value of a single family property, improved single family property, and thought this was the best kind of way to skin the cat, at least for now.
Oh, sorry, Steve.
I don't want to overcomplicate this at all, but sometimes I do.
You're entitled.
Pardon?
You're entitled.
Yeah, that's what the wife says. I got over 35,000 people in the city. Where did we come up with 1,750 as a number to survey, and well, because I would think we might want more than that. At least my opinion is that you, maybe not 10%, but certainly something a little closer. And I know it would probably cost more, but, and then when the survey is done, are you able to pinpoint the locations in the city where the results came from so that you would have a geographical map of how many responses, may have come from, now we have wards or, aldermanic districts, portions of the city, stuff like that, because there is certain neighborhoods, the homes are valued more versus, other, where I'm getting at. I mean, I may not want to be able to afford this, but somebody else might be able to based on, where they live. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's certainly a great question. So the sample size is chosen. So when doing a statistical analysis, you need a minimum sample size in order to extrapolate to a larger population. Based off of the 1,750 surveys, we'd need a response rate about 30% in order to get enough surveys to then extrapolate to a larger population. I believe in past surveys, margin of error was about 4%. So if you had a result, there was a 4% plus or minus. Surprisingly, with random sampling and statistical analysis, you don't really need that many results to extrapolate to a larger population. So if you look at some of the Gallup polls they do nationally, they usually only have about 1,000 or 2,000 people fill those out, and you can make a statistical analysis and extrapolate it out. And then for the second part of the question, so at the end of the survey, there are questions that talk about how long you've lived in this community. It asks which aldermanic district you live. So we could then break data out that way as well, so we can feel where that's from. Again, because it's a random sample, we're not planning to have the exact number of surveys sent to each aldermanic district because we're trying to get a random sample of the entire community. But we can report on an aldermanic district basis.
I'm looking at Andrew. It just seems in the end run, you're going to have a couple hundred people give an opinion about city services in a city over 36,000 people. So if you're only going to get 30% of 1,750, could you not increase the number to get 30% of a larger response?
Yeah, I think the statistical significance is significant there. You can scientifically extrapolate, and this consultant, there's one of several that do this, of course, but they do this all over the country, and they actually said we were fine with the 1,500, and we actually pushed that up. Now, Max, we haven't had a conversation on this in a few weeks, but I also believe that we can send this out maybe electronically to really anybody, but that would be a separate data set than the random controlled, scientifically objective opinion survey results. So we can certainly get some more data, but we would have to separate the two so the whole assessment were objective, which we can do that.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
I have, yeah. Anything, Greg? No. Mike? No. Ken?
I've just been mulling this question over, and then we've been looking at it for a long time already. And I think I don't know how many different iterations, like Andrew said, how many iterations of the phrasing we've had, but it's currently worded, Max. It just strikes me as the fact that it would lead one to believe the Common Council has already somewhat supported this proposal and is looking for confirmation from the community, as opposed to we're actively still considering the proposal by the PD. That's very nuanced, but it's a slightly different wording. I'd suggest if you just, from my standpoint, if it's worded as the Common Council is considering a proposal by the police department to hire 3 new police officers, blah, blah, blah. I think it changes the perception of the fact that we're still debating this proposal, as opposed to we've kind of wrapped our arms around it and Now we're looking for confirmation that whether or not folks will abide by that or pay for it, be willing to pay for it.
It's really the same premise that we went through in a previous version of this, where there seemingly was a stated authority that had already looked at this. In that case, it was the department. And we thought, well, you know, that's saying that clearly there's already support behind this from, you know, a certain stakeholder. Here you're inputting the common council. So would eliminating that and just saying the city is considering this take away any of your concern there? That's just popped into my mind when we were,
That'd be,
you know what I mean?
but provide enough distance to the fact that we have not as a group kind of agreed to this or even blessed it, condoned it yet. I'm not sure what the other guys feel about, but.
We all knew it was coming, right?
Yeah, to me,
Yeah,
you know,
but we're looking at for the way to properly phrase it.
I don't know if it really puts it on one organization or the next, whether it's council, department. I just think the question's clear of what the numbers are over 3 and 5 years and what the cost
Well, I mean,
is to a home.
that's a PD's proposal. That's not our proposal, Dan. That's what I'm gonna get at.
So that's one we have forward here as the example of what the options could be. And then, you know, we'll gauge the interest based on the 4 options. So,
This way, this particular format, I think, presupposes this is the hiring plan that's up for debate.
yeah, it's not, I don't think it's a done deal in this by any means.
I do have one question.
Yes.
Are you done, Ken? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure if anyone else has a comment on it or not.
Okay. I do have one question. I never did the math on, I mean, I know what it takes approximately, the large number to hire 3 per year. It's, about 275,000? Is that pretty close? 3 officers per year?
3 officers.
Per year is about the cost?
So,
With benefits,
yeah,
everything?
an officer with benefits is gonna cost you about 130,000 budgetarily, and then certainly other training, vehicles, equipment. So,
how much did you say?
130,000.
One officer?
Well, if you're budgeting it at the top of the, step plan, which is what we do in our budget.
Okay, all right. I won't debate that part, but I'll get to the question I was thinking about. When a citizen looks at this and says, okay, $32, we get 3 more officers per year. I mean, that seems relatively inexpensive in my opinion, okay? But the secondary question is, what does that do to, I mean, most of our citizens don't know anything about expenditure restraint, okay? So if you do all this hiring, you're gonna be over the number, right, that we're allowed? So this really isn't a true number on the cause and effect to taxes, is it? Is that accurate?
The concerns that remain largely unanswered or into the future are that very fact. You getting and then maintaining are 2 entirely different financial equations. If you were to add this to our budget per the plan that was put out there, you may be scratching your head in periods of time. Eventually, it's an eventuality when we're not growing at a pace that we're growing at right now. And I think that's why we've always been a little we've always taken a little more incremental approach to this whole discussion. But expenditure restraint probably isn't the issue. It's probably more the levy limit, because we've built in that contingency with ERP. So I think it's more likely the levy limit would be the constraint there.
Chris, do you got anything?
I'm comfortable with how it's worded, but if we switched out common council for city, that'd be fine also. I can go either way on it.
Here, could I ask Alderman Gale to repeat how he would like that worded?
What I had just told Max before, said that the common council is considering a proposal by the police department to hire 3 new officers a year.
That's fine. Okay.
Give or take, something like that, so.
I like that language.
Chief Kresick, did you want to input?
Hey, good evening. Mike Kresick, representing the fire department tonight. I'll just preface this by saying that Max and I had a good conversation earlier today regarding this matter, and I completely understand the semantics associated with the survey, and certainly understanding the dynamics of that process. I'm not here to blow that up. What I am here to, though, is advocate for the fire department. And Alderman Gale, to your point a little bit with the wording, no issues with the police department's proposal. It's the fire department's future plans as far as staffing. Now, as you know, our short-term plan has been one-offs as far as adding staff and personnel. What I want to make sure that we go on record on as specifying is that over the course of 3 to 5 years, the window of that survey question, that the fire department's needs will be dynamic and continue to grow. And to make sure there's an avenue to consider the fire department's staffing needs outside of a simple survey question. You know, certainly that survey question to the citizen may reflect that the fire department's not looking at doing anything with their staffing model. And certainly we are, and still make the public aware of that as they're considering that survey. So my advocacy is for that consideration that although it may not fit in the dynamics of the survey question, that the fire department's needs and staffing plan moving forward certainly fit strongly into the economic plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Max?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think just based off the feedback from the Common Council, the way I had it certainly changes. So it reads, the city is considering a police department proposal, ... So we'll make those changes there. Really the second question we're looking to get feedback on is number 32. Because of the growth and changing demands and increasing complexities, the city is considering some new strategic initiatives. So you'll see those strategic initiatives listed below. Some of them are coming back from the 2016 survey. Some of them are newer. Certainly, I'll point out some of the newer questions on there. So there's whether or not it's a priority to actively reduce the organization's community carbon footprint, encourage workforce housing being housing that is designed for people who work in the city of Oak Creek, as well as investing directly in workforce housing. Those were newer items. And then the other 5 on the right 2 columns are coming from the past survey. So certainly I'd open up to the Common Council if there's other strategic priorities that we need to gauge the public's opinion on in order to develop that next strategic action plan.
Chickens.
Okay, any comments?
I'm good with those.
Chris? Good. Mike? Greg? Okay. I'll go ahead.
I just have a question on the wording of one of the items. Certain ones like convert street lighting to more energy efficient LEDs seems pretty straightforward. The one that says share services with other cities in the region. I mean, obviously you don't want this to be 20 pages long, but is there a way to put like in parentheses, i.e. 1 or 2 of the services? I guess I'd have questions on what type of services are we looking to share? I mean, because that could make a difference on if somebody's in support of it.
Yeah, we can certainly try and find a service that may be something that we considered for a shared or a regional service and use that as an example.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to make it 20 pages or anything, but if there's.
Steve, anything? No? Okay. Enough to go on there, Max?
Yep. And then last question is just asking the Common Council if the Common Council is considering an ordinance that may allow for limited agricultural activities in residential neighborhoods, and this is specifically related to urban or backyard chicken keeping or urban and backyard beekeeping. So written the question as, would you either support it, oppose it, or do you need more information? So again,
questions, comments?
Feedback here.
I'm happy to see that this is in here because I know I've gotten a number of questions and I'm sure you guys have had the same questions. So it's good to have it on here.
Hey, Greg?
It's another possible addition. I don't know anything about keeping chickens, but from people that I've spoken to, and from other communities I've heard from, they all exclude roosters. So I don't know if you'd put urban chickens excluding roosters. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly can adjust that.
Because I do get complaint. I mean, there's people have roosters in the city and I get complaints on it. So I don't know if that would, if that people think that if they're immediately going to oppose it versus.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, we can do that. And having the pleasure of writing one of those ordinances, certainly roosters are about one of the first things that are excluded. Yeah. So.
All right. No, I guess no further comments on that one, Max.
All right, so those are really.
Max, sorry, I just want to hop in here quick. I had it in my notes when we just, and I couldn't find a place that actually made sense. And I noticed on item number 34, it may make sense just to plop a word or two in there. I was looking to get a residents feel for what amenities and park facilities for they thought could be a priority. So I mean that little string of options right on the bottom of question number 34 for park amenities or park facilities.
Yeah. And so we actually do have a little bit more room on the survey. So we do got more here now. So we could even write it as a separate question.
I mean, that's opening a can of worms because you'll get the wish list from hell, but anyway. Do it as you see fit, but that's one thing I noticed that.
So just specific to park amenities?
Yeah, park amenities, just, so what's missing? I mean, we spent a lot of money on our parks and,
yeah, absolutely.
And things have progressed and evolved, so maybe something we're missing.
Yeah, we can certainly add that as well. And again, I would like to open it up to the entire council at this time. If you had questions on any of the items that weren't the three that we just talked about, certainly receptive to feedback. Again, looking to try and get this finalized in the coming weeks.
You want to finalize this, Max, again?
Trying to have it probably finalized early January, so we can get this out.
Does it need council approval at the second meeting of January, or is it just once you're done, then you can send it out?
I mean, I was looking to try and get feedback here and just kind of consensus building, not a formal motion either tonight or in the future.
Okay, anything further from Max? Okay, we'll close this discussion. Thank you, Max, for all your hard work on that. I know it takes a while to pull this together, so thanks. I'll get us to item 11, and that's consideration of a motion to approve the proposed 3-year agreement for the school resource officer services from June 1, 2022 through May 31st, 2025.
Good evening. So I'm Dave Ashnerst. I'm representing our police department tonight. I'm the lieutenant on day shift, and I supervise our SRO program. I also served as an SRO back many years ago. We have a great relationship with our school district. It's a strong ties just from the administrations of both the police department and the school district, with the principals to the SROs to the students. It just seems to work. It's worked for since 1999. The contract, and I'm new to this council thing here, so the contract, this is very similar to the last contract. Chief and Anderson and Superintendent Dan and Nerdle met, had discussions, and came to this agreement. Year one, June 1st, 2022, it remains the same, similar to the contract that we have and it's about wages and fringe benefits. The city pays 50% and the school district pays 50% of wages, fringe benefits, and overtime. Year two would be the same. And then finally, for the school year 2024 into 2025. This is when we asked the school district to increase what they pay our officers. So that's 2/3 of two officers. Okay. And then we'd pay the 1/3. So in the third year of this contract, we've asked the school district to pay an additional 33%. And
refresh my memory, are we currently paying half?
Half for two.
And then is, what's the third one, Andrew?
2/3 for.
We're normalizing all three being at the 2/3, 1/3, where we started 2-3 years ago at all 50-50. The last contract, we did one at 2/3, 1/3, and at the end of this contract, all three will be I say 2/3, 1/3. We started with one at the 2/3, 1/3 in the last contract. By the end of this renewal contract, all three will be at the 2/3, 1/3. Did I misspeak, Lieutenant?
It's two. At the end of this contract, if approved tonight, it would be two.
It'll be two. Okay.
And then.
So we're 2/3 of the way there of having everybody on 2/3.
Exactly.
Just to clear the waters a little bit there for you.
Yeah, and then the goal for the following contract would likely to normalize it to 2/3.
So it's an incremental approach.
Exactly. And that's all I have to share.
Any questions for Dave? Greg?
With kids in the school district at all the levels and seeing how, I guess, valuable the school resource officers are, is there a lot of involvement at the elementary school level with them?
As of 3 to 4 years ago, we increased that. We have our middle school SROs that each have assigned 3 schools. So they have a direct line, and the principals at their elementary schools have a direct line to that specific SRO. They call when needed. Commonly, it's, child abuse or neglect investigations. Depending on the SRO, and we have really good ones at this time, they do visit. They stop in the cafeteria. They'll go and read to the lower level classes. So their time is limited, so they do the very best they can, but absolutely they are in the elementary schools.
I know in the contract that obviously police emergencies take precedent and they may be called away from the school, but do you have does that happen often? Are they often pulled away from the school?
Uncommon.
Okay.
The last I can think of is we had an officer involved shooting a month or two ago, and all 3 were pulled out for that. A little challenges is when we have in-service training, so we bring our SROs back for those. And then other 2-hour blocks of trainings, they're back. So they spend significant time at the school, but ultimately not all their time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything other for Dave?
To me.
Okay, seeing none, motion on 11, please.
We'll move to approve the proposed 3-year agreement for school resource officer services from June 1, 2022 through May 31, 2025.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak. Oh, I'm sorry, Tillman.
Aye.
And item 12 is engineering, and seeing as it's Mike's last meeting, I don't know how he got up so soon. He should have been behind the vendor summary report. But anyways, this is consideration of a resolution accepting the workmanship of Payne and Dolan Inc. And authorizing final contract payments under various contract numbers. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the large road project that we completed this year. Did some major rehabilitation, almost reconstructions of about 4 miles of roadway, and another 2.1 miles of the surface treatments, the seal coating type of the various seal coating type treatments that we've done, chip seals. So we had an interesting year. Again, very busy, lots of roads. We saw some things this year that we really hadn't seen in previous years, and that caused us to do a lot of shuffling and reworking to get these roads completed. And so what Matt has put together in this report is the roads that we saw some increases and some decreases and the amounts on those, and then, basically what was the reason behind some of these cost differentials. But so what I'd like to point out is the number we need to talk about. We had awarded this contract for $1.42 million. And at the time, we were very happy with that bid. The bid prices came in very favorable. So what we did then, we enacted what the Board of Public Works and Capital Assets had recommended, and that is to include 2 additional road segments, that's Carrington Avenue and Wood Avenue in the 2nd District, to the contract under a change order. And yeah, we would be fine and we would be covered with the costs of those roads. So this 25% overage, this is what we will be paying out to the contractor is $350,000, just under $351,000 over that awarded price. However, 1/3 of that number accounts with the Carrington and the Wood Avenue additions. So if you go ahead and look at the table, then you'll see where our increases were. A couple that I'll highlight: Montana Avenue, that's the largest number, $113,000. And then if you turn to the 2nd page, you're going to see Chapel Drive, Lynn Haven, and Madison. Those are all roads within that same subdivision in the 1st District. That's Camelot Trails. And so what we were finding on those roads, those are concrete roads. They are pretty old. They are about 45 years old. And these were constructed with the design of the day back then in the 70s and 80s when we put in a lot of concrete roads. They were basically 7 inches of concrete, non-reinforced, and placed right on clay material, subgrade. So compacted it hard, put it down, and we don't do that anymore. We like to construct the roads on with kind of a phased, I guess, if you will, pavement section, which is generally usually gravel. Graded material, compacted tightly, and then either asphalt or concrete on top of that. And that tends to work better with the freeze thaw cycles and also with the drainage. So what you had with those clay roads, if water got in there, it doesn't really have a way out. And so as these roads were being constructed, and the way we do these roads is we try to preserve, what the pavement is, and mill it down and then surface it with asphalt. Basically, your existing pavement, your wear surface where the cars are riding becomes your sub base, and then you get a kind of a nice new road, new pavement on top of it. But we had issues because as we did that, under the weight of the construction equipment, we saw the pavement breaking up, and that's not a huge concern because we also cracked and seat the pavement. That's what gets it tight for a good sub base. But as we did that, and then we had construction equipment over it, patching in areas where it was failed, it was actually causing more failures because that pavement was moving, and that saturated clay underneath was just kind of moving underneath it. And what we ended up having to do was expend effort and the related funds to remove a lot of areas, do more patching, and get it to a decent sub base, and then pave over it. So, that was the gist of it. And it may have sounded like a lot as I said that because I really went on, but it was it caused us a lot of distress. We were really kind of figuring out, how can we do this? It felt like it was almost getting away from us, because every time we went out there was more stuff that we had to deal with. So, bottom line is that is the lion's share of these extra costs, were to get those roads shaped up and paved. And I mean, if you go out there now, it looks great. And so those roads are going to be good for, the next, 18 to 20 years before we really need to do anything to them, other than maybe some crack sealing. But they'd be ready to be milled and overlaid again, at that time. So, quite the investment, but, they're set for quite a while. There's a couple other here that you may have questions on. Oakwood Road, we're at 34,000 over. What we were seeing as we milled that is the outside edges looked a little suspect. We took the opportunity then to beef those up a little bit. It had the added benefit of giving us a better cross slope. Otherwise, it had a steeper cross slope, and we were just going to perpetuate that. So we invested in some increased asphalt material, and then of course a little bit of extra gravel on the shoulders. So that accounts for that cost. Don't know what else to add, other than we did take care of a road that I think everybody was looking forward to being done, which was Putes Road from 27th Street into close to 13th Street. That we got a lot of life out of. I think my first year with the city, we did that road, and so it looked really good until about 7-8 years ago, and then it just kind of decided it had enough. So we did some patching, and that didn't hold up so well. So we got that one done, and that was a good one, collaborative effort, design and engineering. There was also some drainage improvements that were done along the edges of that, increased, put some storm sewer in, was able to shallow up some roadside ditches. That again was designed by Ashley here in our department, and then constructed by the DPW crew. We were able to use some stormwater funds for that. So I would think that everybody is very happy with that project. We were extremely happy with the way it turned out. So, other than that, with the overages, we didn't have to scramble to find funds. As we made the recommendation to award, there was contingency with the fund within the funds that were available. So we have used up all of those contingencies, and we were able to find some residual funds in a previous year's road project. So basically, we're looking at the final price of $1.77 million spent. But again, that's kind of in the ballpark of the 1.3 that we've been doing every 2-year period, plus 400,000 that we had budgeted for the Putes Road project.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any questions for Mike? Concerns? Very well explained, Chris.
Thanks for all your help on the streets. And I know I had been working with Putes, with you on Putes Road for a number of years, and then Oakwood Road actually worked into the picture as well. So, and I know the residents in this district really I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people. So, I would ask that one thing going forward, as we're changing the new redistricting, if there's whatever we can do for, like we do on our common council reports, we have the district here, if we can have that like for planning and stuff like that, so that with the new districts, sometimes it'll, not everyone's gonna know what the boundaries are, so I don't know what really applies to them.
Certainly, we can ask community development to add that to their reports.
And then Boza? Yeah.
Sure. Blacka or Boza? Well, we can do it for both. All of them.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions for Mike? Seeing none, motion on 12.
They'll move to approve resolution 12290-122121, accepting the workmanship of Payne Dolan Inc. and authorizing final contract payment under projects numbers 20019 and 21022.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
And item 13 is License Committee. I will pass that off to Alderman Kirkowski.
Thank you, Mayor. I trust everybody has had an opportunity to review the moderately extensive License Committee report. Does anybody have any questions, cares, or concerns? Right, seeing none. Kirkowski make a motion to grant the various license requests as listed on the December 21st, 2021 License Committee report.
Oracle second.
Roll call.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
And item 14 is our vendor summary report for December 15th, 2021. Please take a look, and if you have a question, please speak out and the appropriate person will answer. If you are satisfied there's no questions or comments, motion please.
They'll move to approve the December 15th, 2021 vendor summary report in the total amount of $705,339.98.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye. And item 15 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the payment of bills, debts, and obligations. As you all know, the holiday season comes up, and with January, we have a few meetings when we're not in. So we need to conduct business as well. So Max, any comment on that? That's really about it. We really only have the one January meeting, if I'm correct. If there's no discussions, questions, motion?
They'll move to approve resolution 12286-122121, authorizing payment of bills, debts, and obligations.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Tillman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
And item 16 is consideration of a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute, Section 19.85, to discuss the following. Section 19.85, Parent 1, Parent E, to consider an option to purchase agreement with Oakview Holdings LLC for the property at 10523 South Howell Avenue. And B, section 19.85, parent 1, parent E, to consider a proposed term sheet between Walden OC LLC and the city of Oak Creek for the properties located at 1880, 1997, and 1998 West Creekside Crossing Circle. President Gale.
Thank you, Mayor. Gail moves to convene in the closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute, Section 19.85, to discuss the following. A, Section 19.85, Sub 1, Sub E, to consider an option to purchase agreement with Oakview Holdings LLC for the property at 10523 South Howell Avenue. And B, Section 19.85, Sub 1, Sub E, to consider a proposed term sheet between Walden OC LLC and the city of Oak Creek for properties that located at 1880, 1997, and 1998 West Creekside Crossing Circle.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Tillman.
Aye.
We'll now convene into closed session and resume at its conclusion. Thank you. I'm sorry, was it?
As to 10A, my understanding is that the motion would be to approve option purchase agreement with Open Holdings LLC or its affiliate for the property at 10523 South Hollow Avenue.
Yeah, so move as noted.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Toman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
And that will bring us to adjournment, but before adjournment, gentlemen, this is our last meeting. We made it through another year. It's been a very good year for Oak Creek, once again, challenging, but very good. And if anybody would like to say anything, please, floor is open.
Good. Staff's been incredible. You guys have been incredible. Onward. We made some good hires this year. We got opportunity to make a lot of new additions to the staff.
You know, Mayor, often at many of the meetings, you, whether it's plan commission or parks or common council, you always bring up the fact that, you know, we can't do this without the help of staff and what they're seeing and doing, you know, day in and day out, and just totally appreciate it, especially for me, because I can't get here on a regular basis during the day. But that it's some sense of normalcy for me because of how consistent our staff is and how competent they are.
On behalf of myself, my family, I'd like to wish all the residents of Oak Creek a very happy, healthy, and prosperous 22. And of course, please enjoy the season. Take the time to get out to the square. We got some fabulous lights out there. And if you get a chance, please, think of those less fortunate in situations, maybe worse than your own. And if you can lend them a hand, please do. I know Celebrations just did stockings for seniors over at Booth House. Greatly appreciated. There are people in the community in need. So if you can, think about them at this time. Otherwise, guys, to you and your families, good health, prosperity in 22. And if you're traveling, safe travels to all. So with that, adjournment, please.
Kirkowski make a motion to adjourn.
Oracle second.
Roll call.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Toman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
All right, everybody.